Merry Christmas to you guys, and always appreciate you guys having me on. It's great to hear both y'all's voices, but especially yours, Jay.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you and the support.
Jay, by the way, Jay, Shane did say off the air, and I hate to say it on the air, he wants our Christmas list.
Okay, good.
I did.
I'll send it.
You put words in my mouth, Terry.
I'll send it. I'll shoot somebody a text. We'll see we'll see where it lands, or if I get the you have been deleted.
Yeah, you've been blocked.
Kind of a thing. Coach, we only got you for a little bit. We'll jump in. We'll have some fun with all this as we always do, but let's talk a little business to get you going. And let's start with the hiring of Kendall Briles to be your new offensive coordinator. There's a lot I could pack into a question, so I think I'd like to start you with just what those conversations were like, and perhaps if you can incorporate it into your answer too, how important it was for you to know that Kendall had already been hired by Jeremiah Donati once, and how much, I don't know if easier is the right word, but maybe how much more comfortable that made all of this for you in going through the process for a new OC.
Yeah, it was a very, very thorough process, certainly. I hated making a change. I care about the people that I had to move on from, but had to do what I felt was best for our program and the people that, are looking to me and that I know I'm responsible for. And when I made that decision, when I did, it for a lot of reasons, but from a future standpoint, it allowed me really a head start in so many ways. I mean, my focus was on the season and finishing up the season the right way, but I was able to typically during the season, Thursday afternoons and Thursday nights, Friday mornings are a little bit of a slower time because most of the game planning work is done. So I was really able to, have some phone conversations and do some things with potential candidates and do my research on guys during that time. So I was full speed ahead on the process while the season was going on, and talked to a lot of people and really aimed high in that. I was the majority of the conversations I had were with offensive coordinators at the Power 4 level, Big 10, ACC, SEC, and Big 12, and talked to coordinators in all four of those conferences during this process. Some other Group of 5 coordinators that, I researched and looked into, but certainly the more I looked into it and the more I found out about Kendall, the more excited I got about him. And it was not something that, Jeremiah came to me and said, hey, we need to think about Kendall Briles. It was more, I started meeting with Jeremiah and Jeff Crane in November. We would meet weekly and just talk about all things regarding the football program. And certainly the coordinator search was part of it, just giving them weekly updates. And as it became clear that Kendall was somebody that I wanted to talk to, Jeremiah was an amazing resource just because he had hired him and worked with him and could tell me things about him from a personal level, professional level, along with the many other people that I reached out to regarding Kendall. So in the end, Jeremiah was a great resource, he and Jeff both, not just with Kendall, but with everyone that I was interested in, and we're a big part of getting this thing done.
Coach, a lot of people that cover the sport see the hiring of Kendall Briles, and they'll say, wow, this is a different offense than Shane has had previously here at South Carolina. So first of all, speak to that, and two, kind of what brought you or drew you to Kendall Briles and his offense?
It certainly is different if you look at backgrounds. It is what it is, Terry. I think if I had gone out and said I'm going to hire the wide receivers coach for the Baltimore Ravens and he's going to bring a pro-style offense to Columbia, I'm not sure how well that would have gone over. And I'm not dumb. But if I felt like the wide receivers coach, whoever that is, for the Baltimore Ravens was the best person for the job, then I certainly would have done it. But, I will say this. I believe the people that have talked about we've been running this complicated pro-style offense for the last few years. I think that's, not exactly accurate. I mean, I think any offense, there may be pro elements to it. I'm sure with Kendall Briles' offense, there's pro elements to it. Hell, I hope so. But in regards to the terminology, concepts, things like that. Sure, it's a little bit different. And a lot of the systems we've had, whether it be Marcus Satterfield, Dow Loggins, or Mike Shula, there's been a lot of carryover because all of those guys, had spent time in the NFL. I mean, Marcus Satterfield was in the NFL for one season. He was a college offensive coordinator before that. And the previous offensive coordinator before Shula, he had been at Arkansas for a year, so he had been exposed to a college offense. So it is a little bit different. I was very adamant, to be completely honest, in this process. I wanted to hire a current college offensive coordinator. And the game is just different. When you start talking about some concepts, you start talking about terminology, you talk about hash marks, the rules. It's different in college football compared to the NFL. Not to mention, I think the one thing people don't talk about is the NFL, that's their job. And they come in the building, these pro guys do at whatever time, 7 a.m., and they're there till 7 o'clock at night. Well, we get them 4 hours a day. And then they're off to class, and they're playing, Fortnite till 11 p.m. back in their dorm room. So you've got to be smart about that, and I was very cognizant of that. And from a Kendall standpoint, he was a sitting offensive coordinator. He has done it with multiple quarterbacks, whether it be Robert Griffin III at Baylor or whether it be Josh Hoover, the young man they had out at TCU this past season. Different styles of quarterbacks. But then I also got to see him up close and personal a few years ago when we went out to Arkansas and played him, and he had K.J. Jefferson as their quarterback and Rocket Sanders was the running back, and being able to see what he did with that. So that's what excited me about Kendall, was just proven coordinator, college level, done it with multiple style quarterbacks, could tweak the system to whatever his personnel was. And then probably the biggest thing too, once I got past all that, is I didn't really know him at all, and had a chance to talk to him on the phone a few times. And I remember getting off the phone the first time with my wife and just telling her, we just really clicked. I really like him. And then I started talking to him, and then got to know he and his wife, and they came in for a visit one night and got to meet her and realized that this is would be a great addition to our program from a football standpoint, but then just personnel as a staff guy personally.
Shane Beamer with us here on the Postgame Show. You just kind of touched on it, but one more on Kendall, and it's made you made a great point, I thought, last week when you said these guys had choices. It's obvious that Kendall's going to make a lot of money with his Gamecock contract. So will his new assistants that he's helping bring in and you're helping bring in. That's an obvious, but I agree with you. They had choices. These are not unknown commodities that have just kind of shown up in the last couple of months. What in your mind maybe helped as a I don't want to say sales pitch like it's a gimmick that you're using, Shane. It's not that, but what maybe helped click things together to say from you to Kendall and to Stan to Clem, hey, South Carolina is the place for you.
I think, and you're right, they did, certainly. I mean, Kendall and Clinton, Sonny Dykes was upset with them. They had a great job out there and had done a great job coaching.
Okay, well, we lost him there, Jay. What'd you say to him?
Did we just lose Shane? All
yeah,
right,
I'll get him back.
I'll vamp while
you vamp, and I'll get him back.
The line.
Okay, deal.
Yeah,
all right, good. Make up
good.
stuff.
We still have time. No. Yeah, sure. No, Shane gave them all a bunch of Fortnite cards, and they're going to come to Columbia and have fun with that. No, we'll get Shane back on the line in just a second here. But I made the point last week, for those of you who saw it, I know a lot of you agreed what we were talking about a couple of days ago. They do have choices. And, look, nobody's going to shy away from the fact that how much money you make is a gigantic part of your job. I think sometimes, especially in sports where the numbers are so big and it's not our money, that maybe there's a little cynicism out there, not just around here. I mean, across the globe.
Hey, Jay, hate to interrupt you, but we got a call from a guy named Shane in Columbia.
All right, is he back? Okay. Well, you told me to vamp.
Well, that's the problem. I think everybody talks on cell phones now, and I'm actually on this thing called a landline. And
right.
I don't think I'm sitting in my office. I don't think this landline has been used in probably 6 months, so it's probably a little rusty. I apologize.
It's all
but
good.
you asked about you asked about Kendall, and it was, the just getting to know him as a person and his wife and coming here, and they did have other options, he and Clements and Stan, and my message to them was, one, there's great people in this program, and they all three. Clem didn't visit here before we hired him, but he did some Zooms with some of us and did his research, but Kendall and Stan both visited here and got to see the facility. They got to see Columbia. They got to see the resources we have here. They got to see the stadium renovations. They got to meet some of the people in our program, and they did their research too. And they got to see the culture and what this place was about. And my message to them was just like, we're so – and people, I know fans don't want to hear it, but we're so close. And you look at our team from this past season and all the one-score games that we had going into the fourth quarter, and the fact that we were beating Missouri and Alabama and A&M all three of them going into the fourth quarter, and the fact that there's going to be 4 home playoff games this upcoming weekend, and we played 3 of the teams that are hosting playoff games. We played 3 of them, and we had a chance to win all 3 of them. So we're not that far off. We got a great team coming back. We've got to be more productive on offense, and there's a great opportunity to come here, be the difference in where we were in 25 to where we're going to be in 26, get this offense rolling, and we got a chance to compete for championships. But you also got a chance to do it here with some great young men that we have in this program and great great coaches and staff within this building. So that's really, it. And I think anybody in today's time, they want to work with good people where they have a chance to win. And they saw that we have a great chance to win here, and that they're going to be here with great people each day in this building.
We're talking to Coach Shane Beamer here on the Postgame Show. Jay Phillips and Terry Ford here on the Game and the Game Network. Coach, you got this guy named Lenoris Sellers you're a little familiar with, and there's been a lot of talk about Lenoris coming back. Again, nothing official, but still that's been a lot of the conversation. Kind of tell us where it's at and maybe peek behind the curtain a little bit about your conversations with Lenoris since the season ended.
Yeah, I'm trying to get some of that information from you guys and just refreshing social media to see if there's anything new on that one. We've had great conversation. Okay, well, I think it is. So everything's good, and I think there's some, certainly details that need to be worked out and things like that. And let's face it, nowadays these guys have, agents and whatnot. So there's a lot of different aspects of every player on our team that's different than before. But my conversations with Lenoris have been fantastic, and this isn't just since the end of the season. This is regularly throughout the season. Since the season, before the season ended, and then since the season has ended, just in regards to, how we get better and how he gets better as a quarterback. And he'll be the first to tell you he needs to play better, and we've got to coach him better. We've got to be better around him, and we all have to be accountable, and he understands that. So we've had some great conversations throughout the season, since the end of the season, and like with him, just like all of our players, want this place to be a place where they want to be, where they can accomplish all their goals academically and athletically, and that's certainly still the case here at Carolina. Nothing's changed, and all indications I've had from Lenoris are he wants to be here, and he knows that the job's not finished, and there's a lot of excitement about 26, and he and a lot of our other players that are returning feel that same way.
Coach, you had a great high school recruiting class, top 15 in the country. Now your attention turns to portal recruiting. A couple years ago, you already mentioned him once. You were able to get Raheem Sanders from Arkansas. What a year he had, and I know you'd love to have maybe more production from that tailback spot. Does that become a top priority? How do you and your staff assess portal needs? I know it's got to be year to year, but how big is that one, and how do you rank those?
Yeah, there's certainly other positions. It kind of goes back, Jay, to where, I'm like every coach, where when you had 85 scholarships, now that's getting ready to grow, so that'll tweak or change the number of scholarships that we can bring into our program. But when you had 85 scholarships, you always had a target number of players at each position that you wanted to have on scholarship. So, for example, our number based off having 85 total scholarships is we wanted to have 17 offensive linemen on scholarship at all times. We've always wanted to have 5 running backs on scholarship at all times. And when you were based off 85, and when you look at our roster right now, there's positions, running back, offensive line, where we are certainly under those numbers. So in order to not just compete and win games, but to be able to function in practice, we've got to be able to bring in bodies and players that can help us compete for championships here. So certainly the offensive line, from a depth standpoint, we've got to increase the competition there. With Brandon Cisse and Jalen Kilgore deciding to go on to the NFL, that's a aspect of it that maybe you didn't plan on. You knew it was a possibility, but now it is a reality. So you've got to be able to add depth in the secondary. And then definitely from a running back standpoint, I mean, we only have, it is what it is, and it's unfortunate, but we have not signed a high school running back in 2 years. And that can't happen. And because of that, we're now in a situation where we literally have 3 running backs in our entire program on scholarship. And that's tough. So we need to go out and find some guys to increase the competition and add to the depth in that room. But the positive aspect of it is those 3 scholarship running backs that we have, I think, are really, really good SEC running backs that we're fired up about. Matthew Fuller, Jawarn Howell, and Isaiah Augustave, who transferred in over the summer. So I don't think we need to go out and just, bring in some dynamic starter. I know we don't. Would that be nice if he wanted to come relatively cheap? Yeah. But do we need to go out and spend a ton of money to go get a dude at running back necessarily? I don't feel that way, because I feel like we have, quote unquote, some dudes already in that room. We just need to increase the depth and the competition around them. So that's a focus for us. But it's a challenging time because you're balancing your needs based off what you think your roster is going to look like in 26. And let's be real. I mean, there's guys announcing they're going in the portal already, but the portal technically doesn't even open for, I think it's 16 more days or something like that. So there's a lot that can happen between now and when it closes in mid-January, but we're ready for all scenarios. And our guys know what a great chance we have to have a really good team next season. And there's a lot of guys that are excited about that and want to be a part of it.
Real quick, Coach. When you had the 5-7 season with all those injuries, and you asked Jay and I to play offensive line because you were so desperate, combined we don't weigh enough to play offensive line. When you came out of that and you were very, very upfront and vocal, like, look, we learned a lot from that season about some things, and we, made changes and flipped every rock to see what we can do to be better as a program. And you just missed the college football playoff. Coming out of this disappointing season, was there something that hit you that say, okay, that was a lesson that we're going to move forward with that will make us better in 26?
Yeah, great question. I would say when we finished 2024 and I went into 2025, if I was asked, and I probably was asked, what's your biggest concern? I don't know if I ever said this publicly, but I certainly felt this way. It was the amount of leadership that we lost off the 24 team that we had to replace. I knew we were going to be good in 2024 because of the amount of leadership that we were bringing back off the 2023 team, if that makes sense. But all those guys that were leaders on this team in 2024, the majority of them were gone in 2025. Vershawn Lee, Josh Simon, Tonka Hemingway, Boogie Huntley, Demetrius Knight, Debo Williams, all those guys, a great player in Nicky Manwari. Like, we lost a lot of really strong, powerful leadership off that 24 team. And one of my concerns going into 25 was not that we didn't have enough leadership, but we were still really, really young. And if you look at it, I think when we did senior night against Coastal Carolina, I think there were, just not counting special teams, but if you just take offense and defense alone, I want to say there were only like 5 combined guys on offense and defense that we recognized that night as seniors. Brian Thomas, Nick Barrett, DQ Smith. Let me see. Who am I missing? Brian Thomas. There's not many, in other words. So we didn't have a lot of guys from that standpoint that we were losing, and there was not a lot of leadership. So to answer your question, Terry, I would say that it would be, making sure that you always have I think especially now more so in college football, the older teams are the best teams. And we did, don't get me wrong, we brought in some guys in the portal that were older guys, but you can't have enough you can't have too many older, established veterans. And we didn't have a lot of them this season, and it showed up in some ways, and that would certainly be a lesson for me, going forward. Because if you look at the best teams in the SEC, go look at Vanderbilt's roster and add up how many juniors and seniors start for them. Go look at, I think Missouri, if I'm not mistaken, I think Missouri has like 8 seniors on their defense. Alabama's got a lot of seniors on their defense. Texas A&M, I mean, a lot of those schools had more seniors on their offense or defense, one or the other, than we did combined on offense, defense. So I know I'm rambling, but that would be the main thing. Just you can't have too many older guys on your team to go along with the young freshmen that you're bringing in.
Coach, we'll get you out of here on this. Again, we've had you a lot, but every Christmas season we get you on the show. We've established you're a big fan of Elf. We've talked before about some of young Shane Beamer's favorite Christmas gifts. Now that you and Emily's kids are a little older, how much does that change Christmas morning, and how much later does Shane Beamer get to sleep on Christmas morning these days?
Great question. Probably not a lot, because there's still the excitement of the kids, even though they're now 12, 16, and 17. There's still the excitement of Christmas morning and coming downstairs to see what Santa brought. I would say in years past it was 5 or 5:30 in the morning. We had kids at the top of the steps in our house screaming at Emily and I to wake up. I'd say it's a little bit later, but the good news is I'm a morning person, Jay, so I'm up early anyway. So they're going to have a hard time, I think, beating me awake on that one. But certainly they're a little bit older, and it's not as early. It's still early, and the Christmas spirit certainly is still really, really high in our household.
All right, I got to throw this one at you before you go. How good is Shane Beamer at putting the toys together? Are you a guy that sits there and can put stuff together? Tell the truth.
No, I'm awful. But I'm the guy, though, like, it drives my wife crazy. And if she's listening, I love you, Emily, but I'm the guy that, like, I'm going to take the instruction manual out and I'm going to read it like word for word. And every little detail in that instruction manual, like, I'm going to follow it, where she would be like, you don't even need to read this. Like, this goes here, you screw this here, and it's done. And you can be done in 10 minutes. But I'm the guy that's going to be like, no, it has to be done the right way, and I'm going to follow this thing to a T. So I'm not good at it. I'm detailed at it. But I'm also the guy that I've put together some toys, and it's kind of what's the I forget the movie when the car Doc Hollywood with Michael J. I think it's Michael J. Fox, where the car breaks down and he has to go to the shop and they put it back together and the guy gives it to him. He's like, here's all these pieces, leftover pieces. I'm that guy. Like, I get done putting it together and I'm like, crap. Like, where does this screw go? Like, that was supposed to go somewhere. Let me just hang on to it in case it pops back up. So I've certainly done that too, and still do every time.
I'm that guy. I used to help Santa stay up real late to get those things done. And the ones that have stickers where you got to place them just right with the exact number after you put in all the screws. And you're like, and if you, God forbid, you got to pull a sticker off because they aren't the repealable kind. That's all.
That's right. I've been there, man. Certainly have had those moments, and certainly want to send my well wishes to all the people that'll be doing that this year on Christmas.
Amen. It's a labor of love. Coach, we appreciate you. Merry Christmas to you and the family. Thanks as always, man, and thanks for the support. We'll holler at you soon. Good luck during the offseason.
Appreciate you, Coach. Merry Christmas.
Yep. Appreciate you guys. Merry Christmas. Thanks for all you do for Columbia.